So let's say you have a very high poly mesh like this, and it's taking ages to render, or you want to use it in your game where you can't have this high poly asset. I mean, this cube is 24,500 vertices. That's absolutely insane. So what if instead of using that, we could just use this mesh? 8 vertices, just a normal cube, but have all that detail on it. In comes the power of normal maps. So with these both in the exact same position, so in cube 2, to make sure that all the vertices align properly, we're going to add a shrink wrap modifier, and we're going to set the target to the high poly version so that everything is lined up properly. Then here in our low poly material, we're going to add a new image texture. You can make it whatever size you want. We're going to call this normal, and let's make this a 2K size texture. It can be higher or lower resolution if you wanted to. Then in your render properties, we're going to make sure that we are set to the cycles render engine, device GPU compute if you have a GPU that can deal with that. And then down here in the bake section, we're going to set the bake type to being normal. We have selected to active selected. By default, this will not be selected, but we'll turn this on. And then with the extrusion, you're probably going to have to play around a bit. I find that about 0.1, 0.2 does the job pretty good. And then simply we select the high poly version first. Then while holding control, we select the low poly version. We make sure that in our material, our texture node is selected. And then we press the bake button. This will take a little while. And we'll get our normal map. It compared the 2 objects. It went, oh, wait a second. This object is lower here and higher here. So we're going to bake that into a normal map so that we can have that data all in pixels rather than it having to be in geometry, which is a lot more expensive to render. So now we can turn off our high resolution version and we only have this low res version. And if we just put that into a normal map node, color into the color, and then the normal into the normal, we'll see we have all that detail on our flat cube. Obviously, it's not as high detail as actual geometry, so you gotta know where to use this. This is very much for small detail, the way skin catches light and stuff like that. You can't really replace all the detail in your mesh with just normals, but for a lot of things, you can get away with it. And the upside to having these normals is that you can also play around with the strength a little bit more. So the strength was a little bit too much there. So now that we've lowered the strength, this actually looks pretty good. And that's how you bake normal maps in Blender. This is the original. Again, for a Blender full render, I'd probably take this 9 times out of 10. Because yes, it takes a bit longer to render, but not that much. But you can't deal with this kind of vertice amount in real-time applications. So for that, we have this normal trick.